Imbibitor Lunae is going to make a huge splash. His damage output is absolutely insane, although for a pretty fair price. Cool Dragon Young is an imaginary destruction character that deals massive damage by enhancing his basic attack. He also has natural ways to enhance his damage bonus and crit rate and crit damage. All of his enhanced basic attacks become blasts, which will deal damage to the selected target and a portion of damage to adjacent targets. Daniel is able to pull all of this off by spending an enormous amount of skill points or by spending a special resource that is unique to him. So let's break him down, starting with his basic and enhanced basic attacks. His entire kit revolves around his enhanced basic attacks. So you want to make it your mission to be able to activate the maximum level enhanced basic attack to get the most out of Imbibitor Lunae. He has 3 levels of enhanced basic attacks, not including his standard basic attack. His level 1 enhanced basic attack is a 3-hit single target move that will generate 30 energy. The weakness break potency on this is 60 points, which is equivalent to your average ultimate. If you enhance your basic attack to its maximum level at level 6, the scaling on it is 260% of Dan Heng's attack. His level 2 enhanced basic attack is a 5-hit blast attack. This means it will deal damage to the selected target and damage to the adjacent targets. This will generate a little bit more energy, 35, and the weakness break potency on this is slightly stronger than usual, 90 points, which is higher than your average ultimate. The spread weakness break is 30, which is equivalent to that of doing a basic attack. The scaling on this is 380% of his attack, and then from the 4th hit onward is an extra 60% of his attack, and those last 2 hits will also hit adjacent targets. What this means is that it is 440% total to the selected target and 60% to adjacent targets. The level 3 enhanced basic attack is a 7-hit blast. So again, blast means it will hit your selected target and then adjacent targets as well. This should generate 40 energy, and the weakness break potency on this is 120, which is double that of your average ultimate. And the spread is 60. So there's a lot of weakness break potency on this move. The scaling on this is 500% of Dan Heng's attack to the selected target, plus 180% to adjacent targets simultaneously from the 4th hit onward. This means that the total scaling for the selected target is 680% and adjacent targets is 180%. Now, none of these enhanced basic attacks will generate a skill point. However, the basic attack, when you don't enhance the attack, will generate a skill point just like any other character in the game. Each enhanced basic attack will take a certain amount of skill points depending on its level. So for example, level 1 will take 1 skill point, level 2 takes 2, and level 3 takes 3. This means that Imbibitor Lunae is a very skill point hungry unit. He's basically rolling up the turns he would be spending a single skill point to deal damage into one Omega big attack. So in order to make this a bit more clear what I'm trying to say, let's take Zila's skill as an example. At level 10, which is max at E0, and level 6 basic attack, which is max at E0. Zila's total scaling, if she uses her skill 3 times, which is 3 skill points, is 660% of her attack, compared to Imbibitor Lunae's 680% to the selected target and 180% to adjacent, which is 1040% if there are 3 enemies present. Zila gives herself some extra speed as well, but what I'm attempting to illustrate here is that Imbibitor Lunae's 3 skill point cost enhanced basic attacks has a pretty high scaling compared to other skills in the game per skill point consumed. And basically, Dan Heng doesn't need 3 turns to do that damage. He basically just does it all in 1 turn as long as he has the skill points to spend. But now you may be wondering how to enhance his basic attacks, and you do that with his skill. So his skill requires no skill points to use. More specifically, when you press the button for his skill, the UI will change and show you which level of enhanced basic attack you're at. The skill points won't be consumed until you actually unleash the basic attack. So in essence, it's the enhanced basic attacks that are consuming the skill points. So depending on how many times you press the skill button to enhance his basic attack, it will determine how many skill points will be consumed when you unleash the enhanced basic attack. So as I mentioned earlier, level 1 is 1 skill point up to level 3, which is 3 skill points. You also have the ability to cancel, so if you go up all the way to level 3, but you decide you don't actually want to use level 3, you can start over. Now the skill also has another gimmick. When using his level 2 or level 3 enhanced basic attack, he gains stacks of Dominating Roar. Each stack is gained before each hit, starting from the 4th hit. That's why most of his moves are multi-hits, because he has quite a few abilities that give him some extra boosts for every hit in his attack. So the maximum number of stacks here is 4 stacks, and it will last until the end of his turn. That means he doesn't carry this over to his next turn. It's all very contained within a single turn. This means at level 2, only the final 2 hits will have the benefit from the stacks, meaning you only get half of the maximum stacks possible. However, at level 3, the final 4 hits will have the benefit from the stacks, and his level 3 is what takes advantage of the full potential of the ability. Now, each stack is going to increase his crit damage by 10.5% at level 8 or 12% at level 10. That's a whopping 42% extra crit damage at level 8 or 48% at level 10. Now imagine combining this with a support like Wukong. That's a lot of crit damage.
That's a lot of damage!
Now, of course, this is a ramp-up type of ability, since 1 stack is gained before each hit in the attack. So essentially, the 4th hit will have 1 stack, the 5th will have 2, the 6th will have 3, and the 7th will get the maximum bonus. And then again, all the stacks will disappear at the end of the turn, so he doesn't carry the stacks over to his next turn. Now, there is actually a way for Imbibitor Lunae to not use any skill points, and that's mainly through the use of his ultimate. So his ultimate is a 3-hit blast attack. It will deal 270% to the target and 126% to adjacent at level 3. At level 10, it goes up to 300% to the target and 140% to adjacent. After using the ultimate, he's going to gain 2 Squama Sacro Sancta. This is a special resource that is unique to Imbibitor Lunae. He can only possess 3 at any one time. And basically, Dan Heng is able to consume these resources instead of skill points in order to enhance his basic attack. So essentially, after an ultimate, he gets to consume 2 of these stacks and then just 1 skill point to unleash his level 3 basic attack. His ultimate makes him a little bit less skill point hungry, but it's a very expensive ultimate at 140 energy. The weakness break potency on this is also pretty standard like most other ultimates in the game. So you can really see that his enhanced basic attacks are really the true star of his kit. Now let's go ahead and move on to his talent. This is another stack type of talent like his skill. It will gain 1 stack of Righteous Heart after each hit unleashed during attack. Before it was before the hit. This increases his damage by 8.7% at level 8 and 10% per stack at level 10. There's a maximum of 6 stacks and lasts until the end of his turn. So again, another ramp up type of buff like the crit damage buff from his skill like I mentioned earlier. And at maximum level, this is a 60% damage boost, which is quite high, but only applies to the final hit since the stack is gained after each hit. So if we were to take the average damage bonus, it's about 35%. This is another part of his kit where the aim is to use that level 3 enhanced attack in order to get the full benefit out of his talent, since we only get 6 stacks maximum and the stacks are gained after each hit. Now let's go over his major traces, and they're pretty simple traces compared to some of the other characters we've gotten recently. The first one is that he gains 15 energy at the start of battle. The second one is that he increases his resistance to crowd control debuffs by 35%. And the last one is that he gets a major crit rate increase when dealing damage to enemies with imaginary weakness, 24%. His minor traces are 12% crit rate, 22.4 extra imaginary damage bonus, and 10% HP. In terms of teams, we're looking for a team that can generate enough SP for him. Locha, Silverwolf, Hela are good examples of characters that generate skill points, as well as debuffs for him to increase his damage output. Wukong is also a very interesting pick because she provides a lot of extra imaginary damage bonus and more crit rate and crit damage, almost potentially guaranteeing a crit hit if your Dan Heng has enough base crit rate. Now, in terms of relics and builds, he's going to be a classic crit DPS build. Attack, crit rate, crit damage, imaginary damage, and more attack. In my opinion, you may want to forego the speed so that other teammates can generate enough SP for him. And then he basically bundles the turns he would have gotten from the extra speed into his 1 turn. If you do decide that you want to go for speed on him though, you want to make sure that your other party members are fast enough to generate enough SP for him to consume. And so in terms of specific sets, we're looking at things like the imaginary set and generic sets like the musketeer set. Those are all very amazing sets for him. Now let's touch up on his energy for a little bit because it is quite an expensive ult. At the start of memory chaos battles, he will start with 85 energy. Half of 140 is 70, plus the extra 15 from his trace. After 1 skill, he should be about 15 energy away from his ultimate, because you'll definitely be wanting to use his level 3 enhanced basic attack, and that generates 40 energy. Afterwards, depending on the matchup, it's going to take quite a while to get his ultimate back up, unless he's killing enemies. And so in battles with normal enemies, aka trash mobs, Dan Heng will be deleting those weaker enemies and will generate 10 energy per defeated enemy. That's definitely going to stack up and make that 140 cost ultimate in that type of content a lot more bearable. In the type of content where you're not really killing enemies, Dan Heng might be struggling to get that ultimate back. Now, time for some very quick calculations. I will go through my basic Dan Heng build. He is using the Imaginary Set, Wastelander of Banditry, and Rudolent Arena. In terms of substats, only crit damage, an extra 40%, and nothing else. So this is just going to give us a very basic idea of how much damage he could be doing. His attack is going to be able to reach 3,319. This is a build with attack percentage on his feet and also attack percentage on his link robe. His crit rate is going to be 85% and his crit damage is 156%. That crit damage is achieved by an extra 40% crit damage from substats, and that crit rate is achieved by using a crit rate body piece. He's also going to be using his light cone here. That gives us a little bit of extra crit rate as well as some extra attack percentage. All of the damage numbers that I will be presenting includes all of his conditional buffs from Dominating Roar, his Ascension 6 Trace, and his Righteous Heart buff. As a reminder, Dominating Roar gives us extra crit damage, Righteous Heart gives us extra damage percent bonus, and his Trace gives us more crit damage. Also keep in mind the Imaginary Set, giving us some extra imaginary damage bonus due to our Planar Sphere and our Minor Traces. And so with all of this in mind, our level 3 enhanced basic attack hits for 50,408 to the selected target and 18,000 to adjacent targets. If we look at the average damage, it's 45,923 and 16,532 to adjacent targets. The total damage, if there are 3 enemies present, is 86,702 if every single hit is a crit hit, and 78,987 if we're talking just average. Nonetheless, Dan Heng, Imbibitor Lunae, is a pretty strong unit, and there's still plenty of stuff that we can do with him, but I'm sure that we'll find out as time goes on.